Hey everybody, Derek here to bring another video for Z Nation Season 2. And of course, this is going to be my review for the final episode of Season 2 of Z Nation called All Good Things Must Come to an End. And I must say that that was quite a finale. I think it definitely delivered just like the last season finale did, Doctor of the Dead. And, it really makes you look forward to what is to come next on Z Nation. Kind of sucks a little that we have to wait until September, but, I think this season was very, very good, and I cannot wait for Season 3. So I'm going to let you guys know what happened and give my thoughts. If you are not caught up with Z Nation, if you did not see the finale, and you do not want to be spoiled in any way, then exit the video now and come back later, because otherwise you will be spoiled. Okay, so the episode begins, of course, where the other one left off, with Vasquez and Warren inside the little restaurant, wondering if this is exactly where they're supposed to take Murphy. And while they're waiting for everything, some bounty hunters actually come inside, claiming that they have Murphy. And, everybody's wondering, well, who are these guys and what do they want? And it looks like, as a result of the broadcast that went out earlier in the season, people had been coming to this restaurant potentially and been claiming to have Murphy in various different respects. And, I think that's why they had the little security there, you didn't want to put too many people in danger that were essential. And that's really what Auntie's purpose was. The woman that was overlooking the place was known as Auntie. And, of course, the group knows that, they have Murphy. And, the bounty hunters know that they're lying. And so they end up, talking. The group, is trying to figure everybody out. And, of course, they realize that when Murphy moves, the zombie that they brought, the bounty hunters, moves as well. So, Murphy ends up revealing who he is, gets the zombie to bite one of the bounty hunters, and there's a shootout that, pretty much ends with the bounty hunters injured or dead. And as a result, unfortunately, though, 10,000 is injured, which is kind of ironic because I looked back in the history of the show, and it turns out that at this point, every main character has been shot now on Z Nation. You go back and you look, every main character has been shot at this point. And 10,000 gets wounded in the belly, kind of like how Doc did in the previous season finale. And they, of course, are tending to him. They realize he's going to need some help, and Auntie is able to help with that. It does turn out that this is the place that they are supposed to take Murphy, and she has a way to alert the individuals who are actually in a submarine. Dr. Murch and several other individuals are in a submarine, and Auntie, shoots out a flare from a flare gun, and they come in and find out, that Murphy is the real thing. So this is the first time we've seen Dr. Murch since the very beginning of the show. We've been wondering where she's at, and it turns out she is still alive. She has been working on the cure, but ironically, she doesn't remember much about Murphy. It has been, if I saw clearly, it's been over 2 years since, the group set out on their mission. I think that, Hammond and Murphy had, some of that distance with themselves, and then, Warren's group ended up taking over later with Garnett. And, it's been a while since everything started at the very first episode. So it's been 2 years. And, she didn't really remember who Murphy was. So Murphy ends up having to, shout at her, the "pike me or I'll eat your brains" quote that he told her at the beginning of the series to make her remember. So, the group is basically going to separate ways. Murch and the other soldiers are going to take Murphy and 10,000 back to the submarine so 10,000 can get his treatment, and Murphy can, of course, start to work on the cure. And the group actually says their goodbyes. They think that this might be the last time they might see each other. They're hoping that this might be the the end, that the cure will be found. And of course, they don't allow the other group members to come on the submarine because, according to them, oh, the submarine's too full. We can't, fit more than just these two on there. So they go back to the restaurant and wait while Murphy goes on to the submarine. Well, while the group is waiting in the restaurant, who shows up but Lorena and the Zeros, along with Dr. Kurian's head in a box. So, they end up showing up, and basically they want Murphy. They basically voice that they want to be able to get Murphy. Dr. Kurian knew the coordinates, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember if he saw them in batch 47 or not, but he did know where they were supposed to go, because basically Lorena's been carrying his head around in a box, and of course the head is still alive, but it does look, quite zombified as a result of Kurian taking the cure, the cure that he made, and they want Murphy, they want him back so they can potentially make a better cure, because they are still suffering from the effects of the drug that they received. What it basically did was it really made them, their skin became very pale, their eyes are very bloodshot, and they have cracks around their lips and stuff. So it seems like it does have an effect on them. And Lorena basically is able to control the people, whether that's because she has some kind of special ability, or whether it's just because they're just really a zombie human mix, is hard to say. But they basically attack the group, and they end up using some of the Zeros as cover. They take machetes and stab through the center of some of the Zeros that were standing on the front line, and they actually don't die or anything. So it seems like they really do retain more of a zombie-like presence, but they are also human, because it seems like only headshots killed them. So they basically fight it out with many of the Zeros, and kill most of them. Unfortunately, Auntie gets killed, and we also suffer another casualty in this episode, Addie's Z-Whacker. The baseball bat with the spikes that she's been using ever since the beginning of the show. She was fighting one of the Zeros that was wearing a mask. He had that white suit on. I think he was Lorena's, personal bodyguard or something. But unfortunately, she ends up breaking her Z-Whacker on the staff that he was carrying. So while the group is fighting, Murphy is, of course, on the submarine. And, of course, he's wondering, who are these people? Because the United States government, as it's revealed, fell many years ago. There really is no United States anymore, hence why you see this reference to Z Nation. And we find out that Dr. Murch and these individuals are working with Zona. Now, we've heard about Zona. We heard about it back in the Roswell episode, when that guy came and was going to fly that technology out, that pilot. And we find out a little bit more about what Zona is. And it turns out that Zona is a zombie-free island nation of world leaders. And when the zombie apocalypse started, they went there during the zombie apocalypse to start a new world order. And the pilot, basically what his purpose was to try and, seize some of the arms and technology that was out there to, in a sense, establish the island as a great nation, also preserving history, a lot of different things like that. So they were really building this new world order on Zona. And at this point, they are working on a cure. And they have been trying to work on a cure ever since the start. They've pretty much been the ones that have been behind it, because they're the only ones with the resources. But unfortunately, they haven't really been successful with developing the cure. And Murphy starts to notice that the individuals on the submarine, their eyes are blue. And what I mean by that is they glow blue. the pupils and the irises. And, Murphy was kind of wondering, well, what is that about? And, Dr. Murch ends up explaining it to him when she takes him back to the room to start being tested. Because, like I said, they had been working on a cure, and the blue eyes were the results of side effects from the strains that they've been trying. And it turns out that it's not working. People are unfortunately losing their minds. They've been turning. Basically, the only thing that they've been able to do is slow the virus down, but not kill it. So basically, if you still die, you come back. And that's why they need Murphy, because Murphy's really been the only one that has not come back. And we find out that the founder of Zona, who we don't know who this is, but the founder is also dying. So really, they want Murphy in order to, cure these people. And Murphy's not really okay with that. He ends up actually getting the upper hand over Murch and tells her, I'm not going to become a blood bag for billionaires in Hawaii. Because we did kind of get the picture that that is exactly where they are at, is Hawaii, because that signal from Hawaii, is the one that was tracking Operation Bite Mark, and I do believe that that is exactly where Zona is at. And Murphy says he's not interested in that. He didn't come all this way to just help a bunch of billionaires, which kind of, it seems like he really does, in a sense, want good intentions for the world. He wants to help people if it really is to help people, but he doesn't want to necessarily be used for some terrible purpose. So, and he reveals that he's talked to Kurian, and Kurian kind of relayed this information to him, and Murphy basically tells Murch, I'm going to do something that I should have done a long time ago. What that is, we find out at the end of the episode somewhat of what he does. Well, Lorena's group, of course, is still fighting the group back at the restaurant, and they end up, the group ends up killing all of the Zeros, and Lorena, is the only one that is left. She comes in, basically tells Warren, hey, you're a tough person. I appreciate you. I respect you. I mean it. I meant it when I wanted you to have that position. Come back to me. But, she wants Murphy. She says, give me Murphy and I'll give you anything that you want. But with Murphy back on the sub, it really doesn't, help their position. So Lorena just realizes she can't get Murphy at this point and attacks Warren. And of course they fight for a little while when all of a sudden somebody comes in from behind and stabs Lorena through the head, killing her. Who is it? It's a scorpion. It turns out that a scorpion did not die in Adios Muchachos when Vasquez threw him down the ladder to the zombie herd. I kind of predicted that a little bit, in my one video, saying that, hey, if you don't see the body, never assume that somebody is dead. And this is one of those instances where that theory actually proves to be true. He is alive and he's not a zombie, because he never took the vaccine, so he's normal just like all of them. And he basically is a very changed person. He tells them that his experiences, with the Zeros, what he's done, the fact that he has survived, and seeing what Lorena has been doing to people. I guess that the Zeros have been doing some pretty terrible things, especially after getting the zombie cure within them. He says that he's seen them do terrible things, and he just doesn't want to be a part of that world anymore, that he really is a changed man. And he tells Vasquez, hey, I'm not going to deny you of your revenge. If you want revenge, you can take it on me. I won't deny that, because he does realize that he killed Vasquez's wife and daughter, and that's not something that he can fix. So he tells Vasquez, take your revenge if you want it. Vasquez, thinks about it, contemplates it. Warren kind of, guides him a little bit. She tells him, hey, think about the kind of person you're going to be afterwards. Is it really going to make you feel better? What would your wife and daughter want you to do? We hear a gunshot ring out, and Scorpion comes out alive. It turns out that Vasquez did not exact revenge, and he's feeling a little bit mixed about it, which I can understand. It's definitely a hard thing to think about, with him being in that kind of a position. And unfortunately, Vasquez kind of wants to go a separate way. He says the mission's over, that there's no point in them doing anything anymore, and he doesn't go with the group. Warren, Doc, and Addie kind of go to the beach. They want to see, from the submarine, get some updates. The Scorpion has a truck, drives by, and offers them a ride, and the four of them go together. Vasquez ends up leaving the restaurant, and there are some zombies that are in the area that are coming towards him, and he ends up, starting to fight some of them, and then runs off into the woods. So that's the last we see of him, is zombies chasing after him. Now, a couple other things going on here. A little note on Citizen Z at the beginning of the episode. He tried to warn the group about Zona, but his batteries ran out. With there being no supplies anymore at Northern Lights, he and the dog decide to leave. They pack a sled and they start to go. Well, of course, it's cold up there, and we see him starting to freeze, in a sense, suffer from hypothermia, frostbite, and all of a sudden, just when things are really starting to look bleak, he looks out and he sees some figure in a coat coming towards him as well. So who that is it somebody from Zona? We don't know. We're hopefully going to find out next season, but there is a good chance that Citizen Z may link up with our group, or at least he's going to interact with other individuals. And 10,000 gets successful surgery on the submarine, but all of a sudden he notices that lights are going off. It turns out the submarine is on fire and it's sinking, and the group, sees it happen, and they're wondering what's going on. And then we see Murphy leave on a boat with himself, Dr. Murch, the general guy who was with them, who's probably from Zona as well, and some soldiers. And Murphy has bit all of them on the cheek to have control over them. And he has some kind of a plan that he's going to be instituting, but we don't know exactly what it consists of. But we see the submarine, in a sense, explode and sink, and 10,000's not on the boat. Now, whether he's alive or dead, we don't know. I'm going to err on the side of caution and believe that he is alive. I think that 10,000 is very important to the show, and deserves much better than to die like that, but we'll see what happens. We don't see him on the boat. We don't see him escape. So at this point, then, Warren and the group get surrounded by these other soldiers at the very end of the episode, and they're wondering, well, I wonder what's going on here. And at this point, that's the cliffhanger that it really ends on, is Murphy has bit Dr. Murch, the general, and the other Zona soldiers, and he has them on a boat. We have Warren's group plus a Scorpion surrounded. We have Vasquez running off, fighting zombies, so whether he's really trying to kill himself or not, maybe there might be some kind of link up there. And we have Citizen Z, potentially finding new people. And then there's one more scene. We see a zombie-looking little girl having a tea party with some other individuals who are, zombies that are pretty much really decaying. And it looks like that's baby Lucy, Murphy's daughter, who seems to have grown a little bit more since we've seen her last as an infant and interacting with her parents. And, it really makes you wonder, what is that signifying? Is it signifying that maybe she might come back at some point, have some kind of an influence on the show? We don't know, but it was at least nice to get that update. So really, we are left with more questions just like we were last season. What's going on, and what's the new story going to be? Lots of questions, but I think they ended it very well. Season 2 was amazing, and I cannot wait for what Season 3 has to offer. Let me know what you guys think. What did you think of the episode? Did you like the conclusion? Did you want a little more? How do you feel about the season? Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming, and if you have any suggestions for videos that you would like to see on Z Nation, don't be afraid to suggest them. I do plan on doing a couple, but I would like some feedback on things that you would like me to do in the meantime, so I don't exclude Z Nation totally. As we're getting ready for Walking Dead season 6 part 2, and Fear the Walking Dead, of course, should be coming back sometime next year as well. Thank you everyone who's been watching the videos, for following along. I really do appreciate it. Z Nation's been amazing and wonderful to review, and I cannot wait for next season. Thank you all for your support, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you.